Hmm. Greetings. For some reason, it's playing background here for me. Lovely to be with you. So this is for some reason, it's playing background here for me. This is a an interesting day. The alignment of energies. There's a little bit of friction, and I want to say that's okay. There will be in this change, in this space of change, deep change and transformation. And aren't we always in it? And yet, this is a deeply impactful week, April, in fact, in general. And spirit has been really pushing me, nudging me, forcing me at times to come back out here. Honestly, I haven't wanted to. I haven't wanted to be seen. I really wanted to figure things out before I come back out and present myself, whether it's here or anywhere, to be quite frank. You know, um, to station myself well. Excuse me. Let this not be coughing, because I've been coughing quite a bit today. There's some throat chakra clearing, definitely, that's happening. Actually, before I continue, maybe we can start there. I'll do a little bit of Reiki first. That feels good. Again, I haven't wanted to necessarily, to be quite honest. Um, just not to say I haven't wanted to. That's not true. We also clean you, clean us, and the friction. Maybe that will help as well. You never know how things translate. But yes, God has been asking me to come up from behind the curtain, man behind the curtain reference from The Wizard of Oz. I think it's self-explanatory. I won't get too long into this because I do have something to share that I've pre-recorded, and I'll read that transcript. That was about 40 minutes. But first, let me do the Reiki, the energy healing, a laying on of hands. But first, before I do that, let me give you a foundation about the laying on of hands. To give you a little bit of further foundation, I facilitated on Friday evening, I facilitated a virtual Reiki session for a psychotherapist who is conducting research on social prescribing methods for Black women. The initial sample group was for 18 Black women ages 18 to 35. We extended the sample group to, I think it was 55, but one of the practices for they could choose was for their mental health and well-being was Reiki. And so I was facilitating that virtual session on Friday, and I shared this poem by Ntozake Shange. who wrote Four Colored Girls, who considered suicide when the rainbow was enough. An integral book to my mental health journey. And I came across this book when I was doing creative writing in my final year of high school. Then it was called OAC. So we had a grade 13. And I was in a predominantly white school, and I really wanted something that I hadn't read before. And my mom reached out to her friend, another local Black mom, and who had an older daughter, and she gave this book to me. I ended up buying my own copy, but so many, so much, so many things to say. But first, the poem. I was missing something, something so important, something promised, a laying on of hands, fingers near my forehead, strong, cool, moving, making me whole, sense, pure, all the gods coming into me, laying me open to myself. I was missing something, something promised, something free, a laying on of hands. I know about a laying on bodies, laying out a man, bringing him all my fleshy self and some of my pleasure, being taken full, wet, eager, like I get sometimes. I was missing something, a laying on of hands, not a man, a laying on. Not my mama holding me tight, saying I'm always going to be her girl. Not laying on a bosom or womb, a laying on of hands, the holiness of myself released. From 1974 on Joseph Papp's Public Theater and on Broadway. Obie Award winning. Integral book of poetry. So, first, let me do a little intro. Sheena here. We don't know each other. Welcome. Welcome. Earlier today is Sunday, April the 19th, 2026. The new moon in Aries was on Friday, which has been quite impactful in the days and weeks and, of course, months leading up to it, which was, as I said, on Friday at 27 degrees of Aries. So, in the final lessons and awareness of the change that needs to happen, and how that starts with ourselves and who stationing ourselves and who we are. I wasn't really planning to do astrology, but that's worth to note. The timing of this video, I initially started out doing this recording without the video on. I've actually been having a lot of anxiety, apprehension, hesitation as I'm like remembering to like keep your shoulders down, Sheena. Avoidance, showing my face, being out here again. There's so much I will say about that, maybe in another video, but and having some realizations in part and parcel that, the fact, just as an example, the fact that I started wrapping my head when I would go outside, not just at home. And gosh, this was maybe, and when I was recording this earlier, I said maybe 15 years, but I meant to say 10. And then I was like, well, maybe it was 15. unconsciously. I didn't realize, but how embodied my direction from source was to essentially receive and clarify the message that I downloaded in 2020, which was to protect my spiritual airspace. And that's the theme of today's conversation. Initially, as I said, the video I started recording without the video on, the video before. And actually didn't record it. The AI companion was recording it. And then I would have to pay $30 to download it, why would I do that? And it was really a channeling stream of consciousness. I mean, of course, there was an infrastructure to it, but I had nothing written down. I just knew what I wanted to say. And so I'm going to share the transcript with you because when I go back, it was just literally a few hours ago. It's very clear, although if there is need for more clarification, I will continue to clarify as we go through. And I would love to hear your comments in the chat or via email, although I hate email, so don't email me. I mean, unless you want to book a session. And then you wouldn't have to email because then you would just book a session. So I'll read it. I won't share it, but I will get into it and from there. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep the AI recording, meeting support note taker in this conversation, but that's another story. I'll keep it in for now. It might be useful for a summary or something. Anyway, I have been avoiding this space. I think like many of us, to be honest. I have just been doing the work, tired of getting interrupted and questioned about the work that I'm doing by those who are not doing the same work that I'm doing. And it's not to sound judgmental. I mean, at least in the way I'm required to be in relationship, it's not really of importance or relevance to someone else, as long as it's not harmful if they're not in relationship with me. But again, another story. And certainly not a judgment of who they are. I just know what I need for myself and my well-being. I may do some cards and ask some questions, but I have been guided to share more. And as I'm remembering, I said I was going to do some Reiki, but I feel like I did that when I was reading the poem. So maybe we'll do some at the end. Anyway, back to the transcript. Also, just to be more general about the themes that are coming up for me as an Aquarius, and also because we are in the age of Aquarius, what I'm feeling is usually what people are, the general public and collective is feeling as well, and maybe haven't been able to articulate their experience and are or are about to. And or are about to. I do recognize that I open space for movement and change and transformation. I operate as a catalyst for people to experience their next stage of evolution. And to be honest, it's not really a choice. I think we come into connection with certain people guided by God, Spirit, the universe, Jah, Allah, Creator, all that is, whatever your attribution to that deity is or deities. Not really a choice, and it's something I recognize now. We are who we are, and people connect or are averse to us for a variety of reasons, and oftentimes the reasons are unconscious. And then, of course, that's what I mean. It makes me realize that I'm not that unique. We all have this ability to captivate, to activate wisdom, awareness, tension, conflict, stress, confusion, or misalignment. All of the above is misalignment at the end of the day. and for whatever reason choose to make the misalignment okay, purpose for a purpose, ultimately, and oftentimes a transaction of some kind, even if we don't realize it in the moment. It's not intentional, it's not purposeful, it's not conscious. Once it does become conscious, there is a body somatic physiological sensation that tells us this doesn't feel aligned. And that's when we have one of two choices, or we have one of two thoughts. I can make this work. Or, you know what, I'm going to align with or center connections and experiences that really bring me a sense of, really exchange a sense of respect and value, not just in word and language, but in behavior. And sometimes it doesn't physically look like a force, like it's being forced, but yet it doesn't inspire. It doesn't fit well. It doesn't motivate. Sometimes, especially the things, ideas, concepts that we've learned through religiosity, patriarchy, capitalism, colonization, are present rules we have and present conditions we have assimilated to for the most part, even if there is tension in our bodies and we hold that tension constantly. Sometimes the tension is so imperceptible because we override it constantly. And then if we're doing the work that we say that we're doing, the rage, the anger begins to become unavoidable and apparent, not just to ourselves, but to people around us. Because what is the quote by James Baldwin? To be, I'm going to paraphrase because I'm not going to say it exactly, but to be slightly conscious in this world is to become rageful at the experience of Black people, especially in North America and Europe. I would even say, I think maybe to a lesser extent, because there's a little bit of ignorance is bliss in that situation, but I won't get into that. If not constructively processed, unpacked, and transformed, because it's not just to talk it through and process cerebrally, cognitively, to unpack, you know, um, in the transformation of change and something that is required in the transformation and the change of identity and behavior is atonement. This looks like changed behavior. This looks like transformation. So let's work through a kind of analogy here, right? You go on vacation, you go through all of the process of booking, planning, traveling, experiencing, processing, understanding this travel experience. Travel could be a relationship, travel could be a job, travel could be a partnership, an opportunity for you to expand, whatever that is. Sometimes this could be trauma. And you choose to return rather than, and you choose to return, or you return home. And rather than go through your luggage, sort out your clothes, put away what needs to be washed, put away the shoes and the toiletries, throw away anything that needs to be thrown away, put away your suitcase, take out the clothes, fold them, and not just leave them on your bed or in the laundry basket, but you put them away and you tidy up as much as you can to then start stationing yourself in this new identity that you've integrated by understanding yourself better through this experience. And, because now you come back with things from your trip that you have to find space for, maybe that means you have to eliminate some things. And we would see this as a process of elimination and or integration. And this ultimately reveals the self that's always been you, truly more of you, unabashed, unencumbered by societal expectations, by your own expectations, ancestral, familial, communal expectations. Yes. And you liberate yourself in a way that only you could do. But the process is not clean or easy or comfortable, and that's okay. It really is okay. It really is okay. Unless you make it not okay. And then it can get very uncomfortable. It can feel very painful, more painful than it actually already does. And so we move through the reintegration process. And that's just one piece of it, because after we've integrated and understood and reasoned and made sense of, from there, there's still action to be taken. It doesn't just lay dormant or latent. We transform it. We don't hold on to that expired idea, experience, or way of being in our body without it being transformed. Because if we do, if we just let it sit there, and if it becomes dense, a density in our body, in our being, in our mind, because everything starts in the mind, everything is a thought first. Whether it's I want a bike, I want to go on vacation, I want something to drink. The body is giving signs, but the mind tells you what to do. And so if we just let it sit there and that becomes a density, that can, and of course, then transform to become something physical. And it's so important to remember that to be physical doesn't necessarily mean an illness, right? It could mean weight. It could be density in the body, certain conditions, and how conditions where your attention is constantly focused. Um, if you wanted to get into astrology a little bit, you could tell where your general repetitive conditions are and the sign that impacts you the most by where you're most impacted in your body. Um, yeah. As we move into this new Aries season, Aries rules the head. And I say Aries season because yes, this season right now we have this stellium of an incredible amount of planets that we haven't had in 20,000 years. But beyond that, this energy of this energy of Pluto moving into Aquarius, which is a long-term transformation of how humanity relates, connects, communes with each other. It can definitely feel like a death for these next 20 years. And also a transformation. It's not just a death, right? The fact that we have been going through this, but it has felt like quite a slog. Now, with Uranus moving into Gemini in the next week, and Neptune and Gemini being an air sign, Aquarius being an air sign, and all of this energy and attention in Aries being a fire sign, air and fire do create combustion, essentially, ignition, spark, flame. fire. This does feel like this is where the rubber meets the road. Things pick up now. Things accelerate. Everything accelerates. As does your need to intentionally, and this is where we're coming into, protect your spiritual airspace. This era lasts, well, Aquarius, as I said, is 20 years until 2044, really, but the intensity with the focus in Aries and maybe a little bit of aimlessness and possibility of aimlessness and or delusion, illusion with Aries, with Neptune in Aries. These next couple of years, Saturn will really provide some structure and boundaries for you to establish yourself and your mental well-being in a stronghold. It's important that spirituality nourishes you. It doesn't restrict, limit, control, or scare, or fear you, make you feel fearful. Strengthens you. We're really going to be contending with the ethics of mental, emotional, spiritual conditioning, the impact and the outcome of having manipulated people's minds for the last emotions, mental states through spiritual warfare. And it will become so much more important to you to discern who's around you that understands your value and not only understands it, but respects it. That doesn't mean they need to affirm your value every time you come into contact, but honors and respects your value and is willing to pay and compensate and are not energetically questioning the truth of who you are and what you've done and what you will do through their behaviors and actions. And through their behaviors and actions, they will continue to show you the work that they have been doing, have done, and will and possibly will do. The potentiality of longitudinal data is ever present. The Aries energy is very self-focused, and that is good. We need self-development. I think that's become more apparent now than ever. It is essential. It is critical for everyone's independent evolution and also for collective liberation. And it can also be taken too far. Looks maxing, for example. Spiritual manipulation does not need words. Be mindful of who you let into your circle, who in your circle is connecting with energies, entities, practices, ways of being that are averse to the integrity of who you are. And that is not to broad stroke any practice, religion. You don't really, something that comes up again and again for me, especially during and after the pandemic, is you don't really know who people are until you talk to them. And this includes people from your own culture or community. I hope that makes sense. One thing I will say before I go, I want to reread I just want to reread what I wrote from what I just said. For everyone's evolution, we need self-development. It is critical. It is essential. It is critical for everyone's evolution and for collective liberation. And it can also be taken too far. Spiritual manipulation does not need words. Be mindful of who you let into your circle, who in your circle is connecting with energies, entities, practices, ways of being that are averse to the integrity of who you are. A simple example in this case could be, well, I don't date my friends' ex-partners. That could be an example. And this is not about this is not about competition. I want to make that clear. There is an emotional safety component here, especially when you come into agreement with people. And back to something we were saying earlier, when people honor and go beyond understanding the value of who you are and they respect it, they continue to support your sovereignty by giving you access to free will and choice at every opportunity to keep you emotionally safe. So this is not about trivial things like lateness, right? This is on a frequency. This is on a frequency level. And a level that sometimes seems imperceptible. And yet there is a vibration there that can feel uneasy. And also we need to recognize that sometimes the uneasiness is a need to self-regulate. Is that, and understand that uneasiness. Is that response excitement? Is it anxiety? Can we define it? Is it fear? Is it apprehension? And are all of those things at the foundation a negative connotation? They don't have to be. Sometimes the things we fear are things that we want. And so this is an invitation to get really clear. But again, spiritual manipulation does not need words. Something my friend said last year sometime that I like to share with other folks, and they'll know who they are if they watch this, is, quote, other people's words are for them. Their behavior is for you. And that's a word. So I was lighting some incense and I just wanted to make a note because we're recording now that I had lit some incense, which is actually still burning. And in just a little sponsor ad, if you have any thoughts on what I'd share intermission, I'd love to hear. I'd be interested to know. This is the Move Forward scent that's warm and earthy, a warm and earthy fragrance, frankincense and myrrh. And it's by Incense Republic. Shout out to Felicia, who is the owner of this brand, who I met doing markets for my brand Raw Redemption back in probably would have been 2017, 2016, 2017, 2018. Anyway, they are local to Toronto, so a local brand. Shout out to Toronto. Anyway, despite everything, if we are listening, and not only listening to the connection, the frequency, but taking inspired action consistently, just one day at a time. Small action, keep moving forward. I haven't been able to find it, but I have a journal that I have been keeping all of my medicine ceremonies for myself. I mean, I keep a journal for with my clients, my client ceremonies that I facilitate as well. But for myself, I download a lot of information, and to the point that I want to be able to capture it, so I journal when I feel like I have the capacity to do that. And something that came up strongly in 2020 that I understood then, but I didn't understand to the level that I understand it now, is that, and so transformative, so prophetic, powerful, eerie sometimes. Protect your spiritual airspace is what I wrote down. That's what they were saying. And I was like, that's a concept I've never heard before, spiritual airspace. And immediately I got a visual of the cloud, like your own, Like everybody has their cloud, you know. It gives me the visual of Charlie Brown and the what's his name, the one that has the cloud that's always raining over him. Of course, we have a collective cloud, and of course, everyone has their individual cloud. And so, of course, we could take that to mean virtual cloud, which means, you know, backing up and maybe moving your data and information to a place that's more secure now. I didn't really think about that. I mean, yes, but I didn't really think about the severity, the seriousness of that then, really. I was more thinking protect, you know, protect your head, protect your mind, protect your consciousness and your spiritual airspace, especially as we move forward now into 2026. I mean, this was back in 2020, 2021. So I invite folks to continue to clarify the people that understand the level of work that you're doing, have done, and not even because, and not just even because they need to be doing their own work. They have to be. They have to be. They have to be. And of course, we can titrate, you know, hand the baton back and forth because that's what it is. But they have to be committed to doing their own work. And this includes anti Blackness work, anti Black, the work of unpacking their colonial anti Blackness framework in a way that challenges societal norms and constructs, challenges current perspectives and comfortability. And then I wrote, is that a word? I don't know, but their level of comfort. And the last word that I'll say is because I had this, you know, something similar, something last night that made me think how much I've grown and how much I used to tolerate, how much I used to tolerate to make things okay, to make excuses for people, to say they didn't mean it that way. Oh, they forgot. They, you know, whatever, whatever, whatever. And it has become clear that if anyone, regardless of who they are, anybody, 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 your parent, a partner, a friend, a work colleague, business partner, someone, a recruiter, someone that's seeking you out, if they willingly and intentionally, even by default, by omission, by negligence, jeopardize your emotional safety and brush it off, even energetically to say, like, oh, that's okay. They don't care. Like, they can handle it. I know that it's not a big deal. I know that you don't even care about this anymore. I know I'm going to make that decision for you. You've come so far. I know you don't even need to talk about this anymore. I'm going to make that decision. I know that it's not even an issue. You don't even need to know about this. You know, you don't need to even to have consent on how this might impact you. You don't need to have free will on being able to have informed consent so that they can then have the experience that they want to have and center themselves. And of course, I mean, sure, that's depending on the situation, we may all want to do that from time to time and should absolutely have every right to do that. No one, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm shaming people for getting their shine and time in the sun. Absolutely, go for it, but not at the expense of other people's well-being. Not when there's so much context. Not when there's so much context. And before we may have made things light for ourselves, but mostly for them. And we won't be doing that anymore. No, 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 no. And there will be no warning because why would there be? You didn't get any? No, friend. Level up. Let's level up. We're all going to do it, but how we do it is important. Integrity is integral. Okay? That's what we're working with here. I love you. I love you. I love you. Really. Because God, most Aquarians know, and that I include myself in this. I love you because you are a reflection of me. But more than you, I love myself. I love myself. Everything that has happened, that I've done to bring myself to this space. We don't have time. We could never. I love myself. And that is what is most magnetic. And I'm fierce about it too. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I do the work that I do. And that's why I continue. And that's why I love you. Because radical forgiveness, radical acceptance, and radical healing is all a part of the work. It's critical. It's critical now. I mean, it has been, but Spirit said also to get on the train, the creative train. Keep yourself well. Be well. Stay well. Love you.